Let's spend the next few minutes talking about the effectiveness in creating effective teams. We know that the team's effectiveness is composed of objective measures of the team's productivity, a manager's rating of the team's performance, the aggregate measures of team satisfaction. And when we look at that, we have a model to build that off of. So when we look at it and the key components of an effective team, there are four categories. There's context, composition, work design, and process. So if we look at context, there are really four contextual factors that appear most significantly related to team performance. First of all is just the presence of adequate resources. And all work groups rely on resources outside of the group to sustain it. We know that the scarcity of resources directly reduce the availability of a team to perform its job effectively. And these supportive resources include timely information, proper equipment, adequate staffing, encouragement, because you need to be encouraged that you're moving forward, and then administrative assistance. Next would be leadership and structure. And team leadership and structure is required in order to get the team members to agree on the specifics of work, how they fit together to integrate individual skills into a team output. And this structure can be provided directly by management or by the team members themselves. Now, leadership isn't always necessary, especially with self-managed work teams. And sometimes it can even obstruct high performance when it comes to the team. And in traditionally managed teams, there are two leadership factors that seem important in influencing team performance. That's the leader's expectation and his or her mood. Next would be the climate of trust. Members of effective teams trust each other, and they also trust their leaders. This trust facilitates cooperation, it increases bonding, and team members are more likely to take risks, expose vulnerabilities when they believe they can trust the other people on their team. And trust in leadership helps the team accept and commit to the leader's goals and the leader's decision. We'll talk more about the climate of trust in the last couple of weeks of this class. And then performance evaluation and reward systems. These systems have to be modified to reflect the team's performance in order to hold both the individual and the team accountable. And these modifications could include a group-based appraisal where you appraise everyone within the group, profit sharing within the company, gain sharing, and then small group incentives. So let's move next to composition. So if we look at composition, you're going to look at the ability of your members. And part of your team's performance depends on the knowledge, skills, and ability of its members. You have to look at it. Sometimes there are required skills. And there's 3 different types of skills needed in an effective team. And what you've got to do is you've got to have the right mix of these teams, because it's just crucial to the effectiveness of your team. You need people with technical expertise. You also need people with problem-solving, decision-making skills, and they're going to be able to identify the problems. They can generate alternatives, evaluate those alternatives, and make competent choices. And then last, you need people with good listening, feedback, conflict resolution, and other interpersonal skills. They have to be a part of your team. And then when we look at research results, research has shown the following results when considering the ability of members for effective teams. For tasks that entail considerable thought, high ability teams composed mostly of intelligent members will do better. And high ability teams are also better at adapting to changing situations. And when tasks are simple, high ability teams do not perform well. Team tasks must be matched to their ability. So the intelligence and ability of a team's leader also matter. A less intelligent leader can neutralize the effect of a high ability team. So you have to be careful with that when you are putting together, looking at the ability of your team members. And let's talk about personality. Personality is, we talked about that a little bit last week. It does affect your team behavior. And when we're talking about personalities, and I'm going to have you guys do a personality test after this lecture, teams that rate higher in mean levels of extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, open to experience, and emotional stability tend to receive higher managerial ratings for their team performance. And that's all a part of the Big Five, and we'll do that personality test in just a few. Evidence suggests that variance in personality characteristics may be more important than the team's mean value. In fact, a single team member who lacks a minimal level of a personality characteristics can negatively affect the whole team's performance. So I guess that just, they say one bad apple will spoil the whole bunch. So that can happen also in a team. The configuration of personality traits within the team is also important. You have to have the correct mix of personality types that can better match the team to the team's environment. You have to allocate roles. Teams have different needs, and people should be selected for a team to ensure that all the various roles are fulfilled. There are 9 potential teams, if you look at it, in successful work teams that have people that need to fill the roles. And team selection should be based on each of the individual skills and preferences. Diversity, especially on cognitive, creativity, demanding tasks, teams that are heterogeneous, those composed of similar individuals are more likely to succeed. These diverse teams may be more conflict-laden, less expedient, but they do perform more effectively than homogeneous teams. But you have to realize not all diversity is helpful. Diversity based on personality, gender, age, education, functional specialization, and experience tends to be helpful. Diversity based on race or national differences sometimes tends to be more dysfunctional, at least in the short term, within the first 3 months. So what you've got to look at is the group demographics, the degree to which members of the group share a common demographic attribute, such as race, sex, educational level, length of service within the organization. And then cohorts are groups of individuals who hold a common attribute. They tend to share common experiences and attitudes. So when groups are built from the same cohort, they tend to have less conflict. But we know that the diversities of team, while it may be painful in the short term, we know that having diversity in the long term will pay off and give us better team decisions and more buy-in with the team. Then size of team. The most effective teams have fewer than 10 members. Using the smallest possible number of people who can accomplish a task tends to be the most effective way of sizing a team. So keep that in mind when you put together a team. And then member flexibility. It's best to select members for a team who value flexibility. Then cross-train them to ensure that the team members can fulfill each other's tasks. And then member preferences, that's the last. Individual preferences, especially whether or not being on a team is an attractive option, should be taken into consideration for the selection process.